Welcome to Adult Education and Family Literacy Week and the Command Center, hosted by the Coalition on Adult Basic Education. So let's see if we can get Michelle onto the screen. How are you, Michelle?
Hi, great. How are you?
Good, we got you. We're working through this, no worries. I've also got somebody else on here. We're going to add them to the screen, and we may only have audio there or not. I'm not sure, but we got you in the studio. If you're from the National Coalition for Literacy, you there also?
Yeah, this is Deborah Kennedy. I'm the Executive Director of the National Coalition for Literacy. Thanks for having us on, Jeff.
Oh, hi, Deborah. How are you? It's good to hear your voice.
Great to hear yours, too. And sorry about these technical issues. I feel more complicated than the studio planned on.
No, this is all good. I'm just glad we got you on. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're super excited that you could come on today, and we're just having a lot of fun. We've had a lot of people come on when we were in Washington the last 3 days, and I don't think any Adult Education and Family Literacy Week would be complete without the National Coalition for Literacy. So we're super glad that you guys jumped on. Can you guys, and Michelle, it's either for either of you, but can you tell us a little bit about what NCL is so that the country gets a little bit of better picture of the work that you do and the scope of the work that you do?
Sure, happy to do that. Our mission is to advance adult education and family literacy and English language acquisition in the United States, all across the United States, by increasing public awareness of the need to fund and support our programs, and by promoting effective public policy and serving as a resource on national adult education issues. And in fact, we were just chatting with Chairman John Yarmouth, who, as you know, is retiring from the House of Representatives this year. He's been a longtime champion for us, and so we had a little visit with him to thank him for his support over the years. That's the kind of thing we do, is connect at the national level, particularly with Hill staff and with members of OCTAE and the Department of Education.
Yeah, I don't know if he mentioned this yet at all, but yesterday I had a chance to see him in Washington, and we got to meet with him and also give him a championship award. I call it the Rock Star Award because he's done so much for adult education, and he's definitely going to be a colleague who's going to be missed on the Hill. He's been a great voice for adult education. And not many others that I know that also can hold the title of being part of the Bourbon Caucus from Kentucky.
Exactly right. And I think that he actually will continue working with the Bourbon Caucus when he's retired. I'm not sure why, but
I love it. No, it's all good stuff. So we get a little bit. We're talking adult education and family literacy week. We're really talking about the importance of adult education across our country and its impact that it has. And I was wondering if you guys could share a little bit about what you're seeing in the field today. Is adult education changing, and are we getting word out there about really what the needs are in the in this community?
Michelle, I'll let you take this one.
Sure. I think we are seeing adult education changing. I think that the pandemic has changed a lot of different things. I think digital literacy is a lot more visible than it used to be. I think the pandemic showed a lot of the needs that adults have out there that we didn't know about. So many adults were impacted by their jobs that have low literacy. And so I think that's the silver lining with COVID, is that it did bring to light adult education a little bit more. We're working really hard on reauthorizing the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, but the Digital Equity Act also has been a really important piece of legislation to start to get digital skills to adults and get folks connected so they can participate in education in general.
Yeah, so you struck so many chords there. We're gonna slow down and talk a little bit about them, because one of the ones I want to talk about is we've heard over and over again the last few days of how important digital literacy is to our learners, to our students. There's a few things. Number one, the Digital Equity Act is coming into play. And I was wondering maybe if you guys could share, is there some advice that you can offer to programs now that are thinking, really a lot of programs are thinking ahead, what's going to happen the next year? And, we have planning going on across the country for the Digital Equity Act. Can you maybe give us some things? Where should our eyes be focused as we look forward on the Digital Equity Act?
Well, I think really our eyes need to be focused on, at the state level, on how the state plans have been written and then how they're going to be carried out. A lot of people right now are focusing on the BEAD program, which is more related to physical access, but there's also funding for programs to increase their technology capacity. And adult ed programs need to be focused at the state level on how those plans are being developed and make sure that those plans address the needs that our programs see, particularly for learners who are really at the beginning levels with digital literacy.
Yeah, for sure. So it's not just it's funny. There's a great saying: if you're not at the table, you're often being served as the meal. And when it comes to the Digital Equity Act, we need to be at that table, right? So if you're a local program, or even you're a state-run program or an association, call your governor's office and tell them you want to be you want to be at that table. You want to have a seat. You want to have a voice. You want to be part of the planning, because honestly, they're looking for your opinion. They're looking for your input. So how they can use this funding as it comes down. It's super, super important. Also give a shout out in the bill, because one of the things in the Digital Equity Act was a call out for people that have been justice impacted. So men and women behind the walls that are looking to get smarter through digital literacy and digital technology and access. There's a call out on the bill. So if you're with in the correction setting and doing some good work behind or beyond the prison walls, definitely you want to be there. You want to be part of that discussion. Great stuff. So much is happening too in workforce, and we're seeing finally this realization that our Department of Education and Department of Labor need to talk better, right? And they need to work better at all levels. And we're finally getting a better understanding of the relationship between education and helping people find a career pathway. I wonder if you guys could talk a little about that marriage and what it's looking like from your end.
Michelle, do you want to respond to that?
No, I'm going to let you talk about that from the NCL and WEOA perspective.
Okay. Yes, I think, Jeff, you're absolutely right that they do need to talk better with one another. And going back to talking about the DEA that we were just referencing, they both need to talk more with the Department of Commerce about how the DEA is being implemented as well. So coordinating all of those things, because all of them are essential for career development and being able to support yourself and your family. So I think through the workforce investment boards and the possibility of adult education programs to interact effectively within their communities with other providers and with the workforce investment boards to make sure that everybody's working together toward the same goals, particularly with our learners who really, as I said before, are starting at the lower levels and need a lot of skills development. The more coordinated these programs can be, the better off, the more likely we are to see positive outcomes.
For sure. Now, you're in a meeting, correct, right now? Do you got a lot of people listening?
Well, I have a bunch of people in the room here, yep.
Love it. I love it. Where are you? Are you in Washington?
We're in Washington, D.C. at the American Library Association offices here, which are lovely.
We got to spend some time with Tom Nash yesterday.
Yeah.
And, there you go. So, Tom, I got to give a big thank you. That lobster you brought in from Maine was outstanding. It made the whole trip. So, thank you for that.
Well, we have some for today too.
Yeah,
that
Jeff,
was supposed to be a surprise, but that's okay.
Jeff is trying to make everybody jealous, but you can't be jealous because we have our own lobster supply.
Yeah, we do.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys are doing some great work, and I know you're having your meeting there. And I'm curious, we're doing a lot of work up on the Hill and in Washington, being advocates. And I'm curious, what's the message from NCL to our legislators? What do they really truly need to know about adult literacy across the country?
Well, they need to know, and it's the same message that COAG puts forward. And one of the main functions of NCL is to try to get all the messages coordinated so that we're all aiming in the same direction and saying the same things. So they need to understand the level of financial support that's required to really show outcomes. They need to understand that we're only serving a very small portion of the people who actually have need for our programs. They need to see, in fact, the connections between the Digital Equity Act and the Adult Education and Family Literacy Act. They need to see what you were just asking about the need for the departments to talk more with one another. So there's a lot to say.
Yeah, and oftentimes I know, in preparation for some of the meetings, we think that, and I think legislators often think that there's the ask is about just money, and it is. I don't think I mentioned earlier to an educator that was on that we're not driving around in the brand new Teslas. Most of our instructors are just making ends meet, and they're doing yeoman's work with often pay that is hard to feed a family on because there's just not enough funding and resources for our students as well. We were on with a director from Texas who was talking about transportation issues, and also in Michigan, and being able to provide transportation as part of their service. So there's a lot of those kinds of things. Funding definitely is a big issue, as well as providing all these other different supports that go along with that. Yeah.
Jeff, I have Margaret Patterson here from Research Allies, and she, I think, would add to what we've been saying from the research side, or.
So Margaret is a good friend, and I'm so glad to hear her voice. Margaret, of course you can add on. I love to hear it. How are you?
Great. Good to see you, Jeff. Great to be with everyone today. Yeah, I just want to circle back a little bit to what you were saying, your question about what's happening in the field. And what I'm starting to see, and to follow up on what Michelle said as well, things are getting more concentrated in our field. And I think we can use that to our advantage. I had a paper a couple years back about the forgotten 90%. And we serve really, at best, maybe 10% of the need that's out there. And so we're very concentrated in what we're doing. And we need to take advantage of that. One of the reasons that I like staying involved in NCL is it's not only an opportunity to stay connected with the field, that's very important, but it's an opportunity to advocate for what the field needs and to come together. There's strength in numbers, obviously, but to come together and really make things happen together. So that's what I wanted to contribute to everyone.
Margaret, you're not getting off that easy. So you also... You're not getting off that easy. You also recently published a work. Can you give us a little bit of that? And because it's an awesome piece.
So which one are you referring to, Jeff?
The links through links.
Okay, so for the correctional piece?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So one of the things that I've looked at recently in correctional education is, just noticing that there is potentially a connection between recidivism and participation in correctional education when somebody's behind the walls. And we don't know enough. It's not collected universally, what's going on. But for those that are collecting it, and we can look at somewhat of a framework within 3 years of when a person gets out, if they've participated or not, are they less likely to come back? That's a super important question, because if folks are coming back, then maybe adult ed isn't affecting them. However, what we are finding in that connection is that recidivism is generally lower. I was able to look at, I think, 12 states. I didn't have that in my head, Jeff, but I think we looked at 12 states within 3 years, and 10 out of the 12, the recidivism rate was lower for those that participated in adult ed when they were in corrections. That's really cool. We need to know more. We need to have more data from the states that can verify that. But it's something that I think it's very important to look into. So thanks for bringing that up, Jeff.
Yeah, so everyone should know out there. I have a philosophy that I live by, that a person without data is just another person with an opinion. And Margaret she is the person with the data, and you want to get to know her because she does some awesome work. And I'm glad that you're there at the NCL meeting. There's so much we could talk about when we talk about adult literacy and getting people smarter in our country, and how important it is to blend that in with the workforce and workforce pieces. I'm just curious if people wanted to learn more about NCL and the great work you're doing, how can they do that?
Well, they need to go to our website, which is national-coalition-literacy.org.
Love it. National-coalition-literacy.org. And there's a wealth of information, including programs, advocacy. There's issues that they constantly put out there for information across the country. So great resource and tool to use. So I've been giving this magic wand to everyone as they come on this week, and trying to get them to share with us through their magic wand if they could change something in the adult education system from the NCL perspective. And I'll give both of you, Michelle, I'll give you one too. If you had your magic wand and you could change anything over the course of this coming year, what would that look like? What would it be?
Well, Michelle, I'm going to make you go first on this one.
Yeah, easy one. I mean, of course, more money would be the first answer all of us would give for this adult education field. But I also think that adult education is sort of a small, not sort of, it is a very small portion of the overall education budget and labor budget. So in addition to the federal agencies speaking to each other, having adult education be on par and have that visibility with higher ed, K-12, and seen as more of a continuum for education, I think that would be what I would use with my magic wand.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yep, and I would add to that, I would love to see adult education and family literacy be a partner, a major partner with all of the other types of programs that there are for folks in our country, with housing, with food, with healthcare, all of the programs that support access to those. I would like to see adult literacy really integrally working. And a lot of localities, this is happening. A lot of individual programs are doing great work with this, but it needs to be more national. It needs to be a national effort.
It does. It definitely takes a village, and we're beginning to understand that better. Like, persistence for our students isn't necessarily that they can't do the work, right? And they're not grasping it in the classroom because their teachers are doing that, but it's life. You know, the challenges of getting to school, the challenges of dealing with children and daycare and housing and addiction support and all these other things that go on in life. You know, if we could just build a lot of those supports into the work that we do in the adult education world, and have those partners right there for that really hard handoff when it happens and when they need support. I mean, that's part of the secret sauce, is coming together and doing this as a team and as a full village. So I love it. I love it. So last, I just want to get your thoughts. If there's, this is Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, and we're winding down through the week. Tomorrow, if you had message to your educators that are out there, you know, we often think of our students and we talk about their success stories. But if you had a word that you wanted to share with the educators that are out there, now's your chance. Give it a shot.
You're the best. Hang in there. What you do is more important, more valuable to our country and to the world than you can even imagine, even though you already know it. So persist, stick with it. Love your learners.
I love it. That's a great message. Great message. Well, I want to. Yep. Anyone else in that room wanted to share out while we got you? You're welcome. Just jump in.
That was the word that came up for me, Jeff, was persist. You know, RGB.
Yeah.
Thank
Michelle, you got one, Michelle?
No, just a thank you. I mean, I think that it's just that not only are you changing an adult's life by teaching them general skills, but you're changing their health outcomes, their job statuses, their economic ability to be mobile. So it's just, you're changing so many different things with those skills that it's just immeasurable.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'll give you mine. It's one that I got from my dad. And my dad had a saying, and he used to say the 3 words that were most important when you do your work sometimes are hit the cutoff. And if you're a baseball fan, you know that the cutoff is the person that relays the ball from the outfielder to get the play at the plate to get them out. And it definitely takes more than one person to do the work sometimes to really accomplish your goal and what you want to achieve. So try and hit the cutoff, get those support services, and you don't have to do it alone. There's a lot of people out there doing great work, and just reach out to them. I want to give a special thanks to NCL for all the great work you guys do all year long. It's not just AEFL week. It's 24/7, 365 days a year. So thank you so much. Give us one more time. If we want to get more information on the National Coalition for Literacy, where will we go to?
www.national-coalition-literacy.org.
Love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much for being on. Hello to everybody in that room, and I'm sure there's others that I'm friendly with, but thank you for jumping on today.